if you look at this fast-changing field, do you see any black swans out there, any game changers? What do you see on the horizon that might turn our industry upside down?
One, though, area that I think is going to have the most significant impact over, say, the next 5 years in this industry is going to be energy storage. And there are a number of new technologies out there that are coming to the forefront, whether they are chemical storage, battery-type storage on a utility scale, compressed air energy storage. There is one that I was introduced to a few days ago that involves weights in shafts that you lift them up to store energy, release them to turn the process around, put energy back to the grid. But that's the area that's going to have the greatest impact on our industry as the renewables industry, because what it will do is extend the ability of wind and solar generation, things like that, from being simply a resource that's available when the wind is blowing or when the sun. Area that I would look to.
I think the biggest problem really is that you have to keep your eye on the ball. Whenever there is a source of anything that is limited, it's not going to supply all the demand. So we have a limited amount of oil, we have a limited amount of coal, we have a limited amount of any other source of energy that we use now. But we have an unlimited source of energy, which is renewable. That's why it's called renewable, right? So we need to keep our eyes on the ball. The other thing we need to realize that we shouldn't be fooled by what the politicians say. We import, most of our imports of oil come from Canada. All right? The prices of oil go up. Who is benefiting? The producers in the United States, the Canadians, the Middle East, but they have less that they sell to the United States than they sell to Canada. So we really need to keep our eye on the ball, not what the politicians are trying to be elected by. I think that's our biggest problem. They are not pushing renewable energies. The politicians want you to be excited about something else other than renewable energy, but it is there. I mean, we drive this morning, it's beautiful sunshine. I looked at your production of energy. It was only 8 o'clock and you're producing energy right outside here on your ball. I could see it. You're making energy while you're walking in the hallway. So I think we need to keep our eye on the ball. That's it.
I'd like to add two, actually. One is that just sort of a recognition that the United States has an aging infrastructure. And so one of the major issues we have is transmission. How are we going to get the energy, when we build it, over to the homes and the industries that need it? And it's one of the things as a utility we are constantly coming up against. When we can find locations to put large wind projects or large-scale solar thermal projects, but how are you going to get it to the people who need to use it? And if anybody has spare time, I recommend you read a wonderful book by Thomas Friedman. He's a writer for the New York Times. He talks a lot about the aging infrastructure in America, and it's actually very important. The other, I think, is more of a policy shift. I've heard a lot of non-governmental organizations or even resource agencies like Fish and Game or Fish and Wildlife Service talk about whether we want to conserve resources now and protect habitat now by preventing the permitting and the construction of certain projects, or whether we're looking 2020 long-term to a time when if we don't protect it now, it won't be there in the future. And so it's really sort of a policy shift that needs to occur universally, not just in the United States, but it's something really to keep in mind, which is, how are you going to make this happen now, and how do we come up against some other more traditional environmental issues so that people see that they're not in conflict, but they really can work together, because if you don't take measures now, you're actually not going to have anything to protect in the future.